Hey there, Tommy PV House. Very excited you are taking this course with me. I'm going to do my absolute best to give you a ton of value and try my best to talk to your specific situation. That's why I created these courses, so I don't have to speak as broadly as I usually do. I can speak more directly to your exact situation. So you're in Washington, D.C. Congratulations. I don't know if you got here yesterday, you've been here for several years, but either way, that is a great stepping stone. For a lot of people, that is not an easy thing to accomplish. And your strategy right now is you're probably about where I was in about year 3. Now, you hopefully didn't take 3 years to figure this out, but it's okay if you did. But you're kind of like I was, where maybe you apply online, but you're trying other things. You're throwing things at the wall and seeing what will stick. You're kind of networking, but you don't really see a lot of results. Maybe you're going to some events, some friends are helping you out, some people at work. I don't know. People are helping you, but it doesn't really seem to be clicking the way you maybe had hoped for. And that's what we're really going to dive into. Not even so much today, but definitely in the second lesson. And obviously, you can watch these lessons in the same day, but I record them different days. That's why I say that. Anyway, so today, lesson 1, what I'm going to do today is the proper mindset. I want to get you in the right state of mind, because what I believe is before you can go out and start doing things the right way, you have to understand why it's the right way. I remember growing up, like teachers and parents, telling me what to do, but I never understood why. And I had to get older to realize, that's the right thing to do, and yeah, I should act that way. But so many times we don't ever tell people the why. So I'm going to tell you today the why. Why we go out and we network a very specific way. So it's going to be the why today, and then the second lesson is going to be the how. Okay, now how do you go out and actually do it? And that's going to probably be where you start taking a lot more notes, and that's where you're going to have some challenges to go out and do things on your own. But today, obviously take notes if you want, but I hope you just kind of absorb this information and really let it set in and sink into your core. You may know a lot of this stuff already, but I hope some of it's new, and maybe I'll say it a different way, and it'll really sink in and help shift your mindset a little bit. But luckily, you don't need a huge shift, because the people who have signed up for other courses who are solely applying online, they think they're going to build their career hiding behind a computer. I got to take a lot of time with them, because I really have to debunk that for them. So your suspicions are correct. You are suspicious because for so many people, they are told, just go to college, get the degree, and it'll take care of itself. And you have probably gotten to the point where that's not totally true. And you're a little suspicious of some of these job boards and these announcements, and you've probably thought to yourself, you got to be kidding me. Like, this amazing job, and I'm just going to send in a cover letter as a total stranger. I don't know if I buy that. What really did it for me is when someone sat me down and said, Tommy, think of a really great job you would like to have in Washington, D.C. And I said, okay, one day in 10 years, 15 years, I want to be like a senior intelligence analyst, doing national security policy. And they said, great. Do you think you went on to Indeed or Monster and wrote a cover letter for that job? I was like, well, no, I don't think so. He said, and they're like, right. The job you want is not going to be a job you apply to. You're going to get it because you have proven yourself in your community, and people are going to vouch for you, right? And I was like, yeah, I'll be a known commodity. Right. So why would you not behave that way now? And then that light really came on for me that day of, you're right. I have to start doing now what I'm going to be doing the rest of my career. So online applications, they simply don't work. And we're going to talk about that briefly, just to hopefully just totally get you off the path of online applications, the thought that you can build a career online. It's just not going to happen. We'll go through these, 6 reasons why they don't work. And then I'm going to end by talking briefly about what does work, people over jobs, the mindset of that. And then, like I said, the next lesson, we'll really hammer home the details. But something you have to understand that took me too long to figure out, and I hope it doesn't take you, I hope you figure this out right now, is that your career is like weight loss. There's no magic weight loss pills out there. They don't exist. We all know the way to have a healthy, happy lifestyle is exercise and eating well. And guess what? You can't just eat a salad 2 days a week and then McDonald's 4 days a week. You have to eat well almost every day. You can have cheat days. You don't have to go to the gym every single day. We all know that. But a healthy lifestyle is something that happens habitually. It happens over and over again. The same thing is going to be true of your career. Your degree doesn't just make all your problems go away and open all these doors. It's going to be daily. How you behave at work, how you treat other people, how you network and stay on top of people, and your mindset. Your career is going to be the same way, and these are just going to be some universal truths, just like you would go to a nutritionist for, or a a personal trainer, something like that. So number one is trust your gut, experiences, or advice. Your suspicions are correct. Like I've already alluded to, you have figured it out. Whether your gut told you this, you've had some experiences that open this up, or people have told you, a degree is not enough. Unfortunately, academics kind of want you to think that. I don't think they necessarily do it on purpose, but most professors I ever had went to college, they got a master's, they got a PhD. They never left campus. Maybe they got to different campuses, but they never gone out in the real world and done this stuff. So therefore, in their world, a degree was everything because, that's their world. And they kind of convinced me that this magic piece of paper was going to open my whole world to anything I wanted. And that just simply isn't the case. A degree is really the price of admission. It's kind of the bare minimum just to go do the most basic entry-level job. And it was on me to develop all these other skills to really get the job I wanted. No one was going to hire me because I knew everything about national security. They were going to hire me because I knew how to make them feel valued. And I acted professionally and stayed on top of them and found my own opportunities and got people to help me get through those doors. And think about it. If your degree was enough, then why would every campus in this country have a career center? Like, wouldn't a degree be enough with all these online job boards? But yet, what I've noticed in the few years of doing DC Hopefuls is career centers are actually getting bigger. They're doing more programs, more technology brought their way, more events, because they are coming to this realization that too many students are leaning on these online sites and they're not getting the jobs in their field. And then they're bad-mouthing the university like it was their fault. And a lot of these universities, I've talked to dozens and dozens and dozens of career counselors, and they are seeing this happen as much as I am. So think about that. If your degree was enough, why would they have a whole center, a whole staff there to help you build these professional skills? We already talked about that. People apply online because it feels good. I was the king of online applications. A lot of you know my story. Once I got up to DC, applying to 350 jobs in 3 years and only getting 3 interviews. Yep, I averaged an interview a year. It was horrific. But I kept doing it. And why did I keep doing it after 50, 100, 150 failed attempts? Because it felt good. It felt like I was accomplishing something. I could look at my little notebook and say, I applied to 10 jobs this week. Man, I'm really going for my future. No one will accuse me of not working hard. But I was working hard, but I was working stupid. And it's not about working hard, it's about working smart. It can be so quick and easy, boom, boom, boom. I applied to 3 jobs. Oh, just change the header on the cover letter. Boom, another application out. I thought it was a numbers game, that at some point it would happen. But that doesn't work, and we're going to talk about more in a minute why that doesn't work. But it can also be really fun at first to apply to jobs because you get to envision yourself in there. Ooh, man, I wonder what it would be like to work there. Oh, what would my commute be like? Oh, I get to tell all my friends I work at the State Department. Man, that'll be cool. And it can be really exciting, but it can also be kind of soul-sucking, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It doesn't work because the numbers have told us that this is just not a good way to build a career. In 2016, there were 22 million applications on USA Jobs for full-time federal jobs, resulting in actually a little bit less than 100,000 full-time hires. For those of you who can't do math, I had to use a calculator. That's less than half of 1% success rate. So, the odds would be about 1 in 200, but that's super misleading because the right people who have the inside track are actually gobbling up these jobs. So true online applicants, the people who don't know anyone in those offices and are actually applying, probably have a 0.1% success rate, honestly, because I have a federal job, but it's only because I was working in that office and networked the crap out of it. So when that announcement was made, it was made for me, and they were only going to accept me. It was not a real job announcement. Most jobs, whether they're government or not, Capitol Hill, wherever, receive hundreds of applications. I had a senior Intel analyst opening in my contracting company last year, and it was a private sector job in the sense of we were a company and we were going to hire you to work for the government client. You had to have all sorts of crazy clearances, really narrowed the field down. And I still was sent 67 resumes by HR, and they reviewed more than that, and they only sent me the ones they thought were good. So that was 67 people that actually met the requirements. It was crazy. And we'll talk more in a minute about why that doesn't work from my point of view. And we talked about how bad, when you play the numbers like I did, it really doesn't work very well. Here's an email I got on March 25th, 2013, and this was the last time I ever applied online. I got this email. It said, "Thank you for your interest and application for the staff assistant position. Our office received over 700 applications for this position and saw an incredible amount of talent and experience from candidates that applied." So the sad thing about that is that is a super entry-level job. I was 4 years out of college with a master's degree and 4 years of federal government experience. And I never even stood a chance. So the question is, do you really think that office went and looked at all 700 resumes and really evaluated each one and gave it careful consideration? Yeah, I can't imagine you actually think they did, because there's no way in hell they actually did that. So I've gotten this question, and it's a great question. It's like, well, you know what, Tommy, you say that, but I got an internship by applying online, or my friend does a great job and he applied online. Okay, that's great. But we're going to talk right now about why that's still not a good way to build a long-term career, and you might as well start developing the good habits now. Why would you want to wait 4 or 5 years to start doing what works? So short-term, it's easy to get an online and apply, but it's like a dog chasing a car. What happens if you actually get the job? Do you really want to repeat this process every 2 to 4 years? Most people don't last 2 years at their first job. Most people don't last 2 years at their first 3 or 4 jobs, because in this town, unfortunately, in government, you got to bounce around to different agencies. On Capitol Hill, you go work for different congressmen, different congresswomen, committees, all these sorts of things to get that more money, to get that more experience, because a lot of times it's hard to get promoted within. Obviously, it's not impossible, and you should go for it, but the point is you're going to bounce around a lot when you're young, especially when you get that first job and it's not in your field. You're going to want to get a job in your field, and do you really want to go through these online applications and repeat this cycle every 1 to 3 to 4 years? You're not really building upon anything. It's just online. That is going to wear you out, and 5 or 6 years down the road, you're going to be just beaten down, I promise, because it happened to me. You're literally going to just be starting over every time. So it's a disadvantage, what I was kind of alluding to a second ago, even when you get the offer. Let's say you get an interview and you get the job. Hooray! Well, that's great, but it's not as good as it could be, because you are a random person they happen to hire. They liked you the best, but no one really knows you. So you're going to get the standard salary. You don't know what the standard salary is, the reputation of the organization, growth potential, etc. I've worked at several organizations and watched as someone came in for $15,000 to $10,000, $20,000 less than what we were making, because they didn't know what to ask for, because they didn't have someone on the inside saying, no, we all make 75, you should at least ask for 70. My second job, I applied online and got it. I got the interview and I nailed the interview. And it didn't occur to me about 2 or 3 months later. It was like, oh, this is why this job was online, because the people in this world would never have taken this job. My client was, literally a psycho. I truly believe he's a sociopath. Not like evil and mean, just strange and manipulative and awful. And the work they had me do was just so boring and awful. And it was just a terrible experience. And talking to people in my office, it was very apparent that those in the know would have never taken this job. But I didn't know any better. I applied online. The announcement made it sound like something totally different. I had no idea if there was room to grow in this company. I had people 5 and 6 months into it say, I hope you don't plan on staying here long. I said, well, what do you mean? They're like, there's nowhere to grow. This company is small and it's getting smaller. I don't know. I'm not really sure why you took this job, but I hope you're looking. If I had known that up front, I would have never taken the job. But because I just applied online, I didn't have that inside type information. I didn't know anyone there. And day one, you have everything to prove. You are still an unproven commodity. I have been on that hiring side. When you hire someone who just applied online and you met them for an hour in an interview, you're still very suspicious. They may be the best choice, but you don't know, and they are on a trial period, and you are really waiting to see, hey, is this person going to work out or not? Because nobody's vouched for you, and their investment in you is pretty low, and the risk is still really high. That is why, when I've taken jobs, every job but that one, I was vouched for. I had networked my way into the job 2 times. I even had a good friend working there. So when I showed up, I wasn't very risky. Oh, Tom Peavyhouse, yeah. You know Tyler really well. We've heard great things about you. It was just assumed that I was going to be good and that they could trust me because I came vouched for. And I know that sounds silly, but it helped. The expectations were like high but reasonable, and I succeeded in those jobs because it was just assumed I was going to be good. I wasn't posed as much of a risk to them. So this is a big one. Jobs online are not real or the jobs you want. 80% of jobs are never truthfully posted online. So I've seen countless places that 80% of jobs never get posted online. I don't know how they actually come up with that number, and so I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a hard fact. My take on it is, I don't know if they're just never posted, but I don't think 80% of jobs out there are posted truthfully. So they're never posted to begin with, or if they are, they already know who they want to hire, or they've already hired somebody and they just haven't taken the job announcement down. They're placating to human resources, whatever. But I think most jobs are never truthfully posted online, genuinely looking for candidates that are actually going to look at your resume. Think about it from my point of view, and I alluded to this earlier. Why would a manager want to look at 200 resumes? I didn't want to look at 70 resumes. Ugh, that sounded terrible. So I did what everyone I know does. I reached out to my network of 10 to 15 people and said, hey, here's the job announcement. Does anybody have anybody good? Anyone they've worked with? Anyone they've been helping, mentoring? I would love someone to come pre-recommended. It just didn't work out for me, but most of the time it does. And mine was purely because of clearances, and it was such a narrow field. But most of the time, that will work, and you'll get 4 to 5 really great candidates. I have gotten so many interviews through that where someone in my network says, hey, Tommy, I heard about an opportunity. What do you think? Yeah. Why don't you put my name in there? Great, I'm going to. Boom, you're interviewing tomorrow. And that has happened several times for me. That is just such a less riskier way to do it. It's such a win-win. If I'm the manager, it's, hey, I get this person who's already vouched for, who I already have a good feeling about, and I don't have to waste 20 hours going through resumes. That's a total win-win. The 20% that are left, those 20% of jobs that are online and they're truthfully posted, I was just talking about this earlier. So think about this. Why does the manager need to get a random online application? Are they not connected to their field, or do people in the field know better? So you should ask yourself, why do these people not already have someone in mind? Are they not good at networking? Are they not well connected? Or is it because they know they could never get anybody who knows well enough? They've got to go get some poor sap because they have a horrible reputation, or their funding's going away and everybody knows it, but they still have this announced opening. It's very suspicious to me at this day and age of why anyone would be posting a job online. It really, in our field, it's just always a little suspicious to me. And I had already told you about my second job and the issues I had there. Also, applying online can be emotionally devastating. You get your hopes up for each job only to get an automated rejection email. That's really tough. Or even worse, you just never hear back. Oh, I hated that. You apply online and a month later they never get back to you. Playing the numbers can slowly chip away at your self-confidence, your attitude, and outlook. You can get really dejected when you constantly get rejected, you never hear back, or you finally land the interview and it just doesn't go well, and you can tell that you were just meeting a quota and that they already know who they want to hire. It can start to feel really lonely and depressing. Now, are you ever going to apply online again? Yeah, you probably will. They do there is a role that I teach to DC boot camp students of online applications. One is to further a contact. If someone in your network says, oh, you should apply to this in my company, all right, you do it so you can build that connection with them and tell them that you followed their directions. An advanced thing that you'll probably be doing later is you're in a job, you're doing well, and maybe you apply to a few jobs online just to see if you can get an interview, just to make a point to who you are. Say, hey, I'm still marketable. I can apply online and get jobs, which you have to get a lot of experience and expertise usually to be able to do that. And still, every time I've done that or friends I have done that, yeah, they were maybe able to finally get an interview to prove their point, but it was never a job they actually wanted. Because the jobs we want, the good jobs that are going to build our careers up, those are not being posted. They just never are. And I have told a few people to just go ahead and apply online only when it's an absolute dream job for them. It's exactly what they want to do, and unfortunately they just don't, no one in their network can put them through that door. They just haven't built the connections quite yet, and I say, why not? You might as well apply rather than do nothing about it. Even though you're not giving yourself much of a chance, it can't hurt. So there is a small role for applying online, but I really like to veer away from it if possible, because ultimately what does work is people over jobs. Too many people come out and they say, I want this job, I want to be in this field, and they focus on the job. And we're going to hammer this home in the next lesson. But you need to be focusing on people. When you make people your priority and getting to know as many people as you can and making them feel valued and making them really like you and care about you and feel invested in you, jobs will come your way. Every job I've ever had, I had never heard of The Office 3 months before I started. Never even heard of them. But the opportunities found me. I looked into it and I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. I actually think I would really love to do that. I would have never thought to go look that up. Of course, these jobs weren't on job boards, so I wasn't seeing them. But you just know, that is why it's so important to focus on people. When you focus on the job, you may never get there. And it's just not the right mindset, because everything you do is going to feel very transactional, and people are going to pick up on that very quickly. When people feel like you're really focused on them as a human, they're going to like you and they're going to want to help you. A deep, substantial network is the way to long-term career success. I used to think, when I first got up here, I was very naive, and I thought it was all about hard work. I worked very hard to get my college degree and my master's degree, and the world was going to reward me because America was fair, and if I worked hard and I deserved to be successful. Well, that didn't work. So then I got really bitter and just bad attitude, and I said, it's not about how hard you work, it's not about being smart, it's just about who you know. And if you just know the right people, you get the best jobs, and this town is so unfair and everything's corrupt, and it's just, a guy like me doesn't stand a chance. I'm a nobody from Arkansas, I don't belong. Well, that's definitely not true either. Well, the truth is it's actually kind of a weird mixture of the two. I was right and wrong at the same time. It's about working really hard at knowing the right people. So yeah, you've worked really hard to get the degree and look good on paper and have the expertise to get the job you want, but then you also have to work really hard and building a network, making people feel valued, really being organized about it, staying on top of opportunities, so you do get to know the right people, not because of who your daddy is or where you come from, but because you made them feel valued as a human and they actually like you and they want to help you. They feel good. They get something out of helping you. So ultimately, it's your hard work that gets that person to help you get that opportunity. So you are very much in control and driving, but you're smart enough to know that ultimately other people are going to have to knock down the final door for you. And that's what it all comes down to. And when you can start doing those things, it will blow your mind, the opportunities that are going to come your way. Some of the job opportunities I've been presented and been able to get are absolutely amazing. But what's even more amazing is the members of the DC Hopefuls Fellowship, these young people, a year, 2 years in DC, already working in their field, getting promoted in their office, getting these incredible opportunities, because there they are at 22, 24, 26 years old, building these incredible networks and having these unbelievably well-connected professionals who like them and are invested in them and go to bat for them. It's really unbelievably incredible to watch, and it's just such a fun thing for me to get to sit back and see. And that's why I try to make these trainings like this so I can start implementing some of this into your life. So the proper mindset, like we said, is to focus on people. A deep invested professional network will point you towards the real jobs not on boards. They alleviate risk to any potential manager, and they give you huge insights into the job so you can get the best salary with the most political capital once you start. And that slide is old, but ultimately, we're going to talk about lesson 2. So lesson 2 is we're going to talk about how you don't have to move to Washington, D.C. to network, but the fact that you're already in Washington, D.C. is a huge advantage. And we're going to talk about why you need to make the most of the fact that you are here. We're going to talk about how the ultimate goal is to get 3 to 5 career investors, and the best way to D.C., can be from somewhere else. And what I mean by that is I have left D.C. and come back. I have friends who have left D.C. several times and come back. I don't want you to get overly obsessed with the idea of D.C. I want you to get obsessed with the idea of great opportunities and great people. And great people and great opportunities might take you other places. So I just want to slightly debunk the aura of D.C. just a little bit. And we're going to talk about how most people network all wrong. what to know before you start networking, when to start networking, and how to actually get started. So that concludes lesson 1. I went a little longer than I meant to. I apologize. I'm just excited and full of caffeine this morning. But can't wait for you guys to dive into lesson 2, and I hope you really enjoyed this.